A two-alarm fire tore through a popular restaurant in Arlington Center. Luckily, there were no injuries. To commemorate Mother's Day, we find out how surviving the pandemic has changed moms' attitudes towards their special day. And the AHS Spring Musical hits the screen, the big screen, that is. Join us for these stories and more coming up next on ACMi News.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Hello, Arlington, and welcome to ACMi News. I'm Anim Osmani.
And I'm Isabella Turst. Town meeting wrapped up its second week with the pace slowing notably after a frenetic first week of business. Here's Town Manager Adam Chapdelaine with a quick synopsis of what was covered this week.
There was a slower night on Monday night and more traction gained last night, but further important work was done. Last night there was final action taken on ranked choice voting by town meeting, which will put on a future ballot for town residents to vote on as whether or not they want to change the way elections are conducted in Arlington to a ranked choice style of voting. Also last night, town meeting voted to send to the legislature a home rule petition to create a real estate transfer fee, which would go directly into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that was established by town meeting back in the fall to help produce more affordable housing in town. So pretty significant action, or at least significant movement forward on potential action for two important issues in town. Then last night we got into the zoning articles. A number of more administrative or minor zoning articles were passed last night, and then got into Article 35, which is in regards to industrial uses and trying to create more flexibility in the industrial zones to prompt development in the industrial zones in Arlington.
Now we follow up on a story from last week's newscast. A two-alarm fire at the Thai Moon restaurant in Arlington Center caused an estimated $500,000 of damage to the business, according to Arlington Fire Chief Kevin Kelly. A GoFundMe page has been established to support the restaurant through this traumatic episode in their 16-year history. Closed but not out of the picture. On the morning of April 29th, a fire broke out in the back of the kitchen of Thai Moon. Emergency crews went to work and quickly put out the fire, minimizing the damage. It was the smoke, however, that was the main point of concern.
And then the real work started after that was that, there's duct work that goes up through the building, and one of the major problems was on arrival was there was a lot of smoke coming from a lot of areas of that building. That's a 4-story old building with a lot of void spaces. So we had a lot of smoke coming in a lot of places. So we didn't know if that was just smoke that was pushing out or if we had fire that had spread through. So that was what really was the complicated part about this fire.
We mentioned that this was a two-alarm fire. Here's a quick explanation of what that means.
What a second alarm does, it just brings in other resources from other communities for us just to help. It's a very labor-intensive job. And if we're going to be there a long time, we need the help. So if that incident prolonged any longer, we might have considered striking a third alarm. And what we do with that, we had plenty of manpower, but then people need to take breaks. They get tired. They're wearing air bottles. It's hot. So then we rotate other crews in and out. So really, when you start talking about second alarm, third alarm, what the fire department's trying to do is just get more manpower in to help.
Thai Moon is closed until further notice. The restaurant posted a statement on their Facebook page confirming no injuries among its staff, and Chief Kelly reports that there were no injuries to either firefighters or others. The restaurant's owners have expressed their gratitude for the emergency crews, town staff, and the Arlington community, and they are thankful that their own staff is safe. None of the businesses adjacent to the restaurant have been heavily impacted by the fire.
We got the main body of the fire knocked down fairly quickly, and then just started with the work of trying to make sure that the fire hadn't extended to the east or west of Thai Moon, or north, upstairs to the first, second, third, and fourth floor.
Unfortunately, a commercial unit above the restaurant sustained serious damage. A GoFundMe page was launched and has so far amassed $17,000 in donations. Thai Moon posted words of resilience on their storefront windows, saying thank you and pledging that they will be back to serve you. Fire Chief Kelly also wants to acknowledge the fire departments of our neighboring communities, Cambridge, Belmont, Winchester, and Medford, for their assistance in combating this fire. Some of the funds from the GoFundMe campaign will go to help the staff who rely on tips until they can once again open for business, says Thai Moon on their Facebook page.
Shifting over to our public schools, late last month, the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education updated their quarantine policy for students and staff who were exposed to COVID-19. In their April 29th school committee meeting, Superintendent Bodie said that Arlington Public Schools will align with that policy.
We've been working on this and we are prepared to move to that, to align with that more minimal, the minimal number of days a student needs to be quarantined.
The new protocol for students and staff that tested positive for COVID-19 shortens the amount of time that they must quarantine, with the requirement being that anyone who tests positive will stay home and be encouraged to take a COVID test on day 5 of the quarantine. If the result is negative, they are to return on day 8. Without a negative test result, the quarantine period will be extended to either 10 or 14 days, depending on certain other stipulations. This is consistent with the new guidelines from Massachusetts Department of Public Health and its Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
There are 2 guidelines from the state with regard to quarantine. One is that if you don't have a test after exposure, that anybody can come back to school after 10 days in quarantine, return on day 11. And that's what we've been operating with. But there was an or to that. Or you could have a student or a teacher, for that matter, after quarantine, test on day 5 and return on day 8. It's actually at the end of day 7, so effectively it's day 8. And we are prepared to align with that.
In summary, if an individual is experiencing any symptoms related to COVID-19, they should quarantine and get tested. Other guidance states that close contacts who were exposed to a COVID-19 positive individual in the classroom or on the bus while both individuals were masked do not have to quarantine unless they were within 3 feet of distance of the COVID-19 positive individual for a total of 15 minutes during a 24-hour period. Also, individuals who are fully vaccinated or who have had confirmed COVID-19 in the last 90 days do not need to be quarantined as long as they do not have symptoms. For more details about the state's policy, the full report is available for download on the Mass DOE website. Arlington High School students are slated to fill the halls and classrooms on May 10th, with seniors and freshmen returning on May 6th and 7th, respectively. Also, at the April 29th meeting, school committee member Jane Morgan presented a motion to include a memorial plaque in the new high school to honor Dr. Bodie.
As some sort of background, we have a school committee policy. It's policy FF. I did look it up. And it states that the school committee can choose to recognize outstanding service to the youth of Arlington by dedicating an appropriate area in honor of an exceptional individual who has unselfishly given their time and energy in promoting excellence in education. So I read this today in thinking about this evening, and I was so grateful that the policy was so well written that it gave me a good jumping off point in thinking about the motion that I have this evening for all of your consideration. So I believe that Dr. Bodie is an outstanding candidate for the first dedication of a space in the new Arlington High School building. I'm proud that the school committee is here tonight with the opportunity to vote on a dedication for her and to her in the discourse lab space, which is right off of the main entrance to the high school.
The motion was endorsed unanimously by the school committee and now moves on to the Public Memorial Committee for further deliberation. Another vote by the school committee will take place at their next meeting. Dr. Kathleen Bodie will be retiring at the end of this school year after having served as superintendent for a number of years.
Coming soon to Arlington Center and East Arlington at a bus stop near you, new box stripes to mark and designate spaces exclusively for MBTA buses. This is part of the MBTA's regional approach to improving bus services. These new markings will increase the visibility of bus stops and reduce incidents of accidental illegal parking. The paintings will affect the bus stops located at Mass Ave and Lake, Mass Ave and Academy, and the Route 87 layover location on Broadway and Franklin.
We'll now take a short break, and when we come back, we'll tell you about a convenient new location to get your vaccine.
And we'll hear from local moms about what would make Mother's Day special for them amidst the pandemic. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Action.
Welcome back to UView, the show dedicated to all things Arlington youth.
I'm trying to get out my house. I'm trying to leave this town. I'm trying to figure this out, but I can't do it alone. I'm waiting on the day when we all turn our backs and go our separate ways. I'm waiting on the day, but I'm dreading when I have to see you cry. I'm not ready to say goodbye. I'm not ready to see you cry. The poison lights like a lonely night.
Cut.
Want to stay up to date with all things going around the community and beyond? Catch all the Arlington action on ACMi News for all the hyperlocal content you need. ACMi News. Watch on weekdays on Arlington's public channels, RCN 629, Verizon 31, and Comcast Channel 8. You can also check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv and follow us on social media. ACMi News, your local news station.
Welcome back to ACMi News. I'm Isabel Litterst, joined by Nemo Osmani here in our studio. In our conversation with Town Manager Adam Chapdelaine this week, he shared good news about more local vaccine options becoming available and addressed a surprisingly abrupt shift in the vaccination dynamic. Here's what he had to say.
So this was part of a collaboration that started several months ago between a number of Metro North communities trying to be able to get a more local vaccination clinic. Frankly, we applied when we were begging for a vaccine and residents were begging for a vaccine. We've quickly shifted into a world where we're begging people to get vaccinated. It's sort of remarkable how quickly that paradigm has shifted. But this was approved several months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. This is the first week that this collaborative and some other regional collaboratives in the state have received vaccine. There still are, as far as I understand it, a significant number of appointments available. And the goal of this is to try to get vaccine closer to where people are and, if at all possible, try to reach either vulnerable or historically underrepresented communities to be able to get the vaccine to them. So for now, it's starting at the Gancher Center at Tufts. So people living in Arlington actually have some pretty good proximity to that as compared to some of the mass vaccination sites that had been established by the state. And we're hopeful in the upcoming weeks, we might be able to, as Arlington, access vaccines through this collaborative and be able to get out to different parts of our community that haven't yet been able to access vaccine. In addition to the Metro North Collaborative, Health and Human Services has also launched a campaign to try to get to those 75 plus that have not been vaccinated yet. You probably recall you had asked me, based on a resident's question to you a couple of weeks ago, about why our percentage was lower than a few of our neighboring communities in terms of vaccinating people. I think it was over 70 or maybe over 75. And as we've looked into it, we have this group of about 700 people of that age that haven't been vaccinated. But we've now launched an effort through the Council on Aging, through Health and Human Services, reaching out through their partners in the community, the Housing Corporation of Arlington, the Arlington Human Services Network, and other groups, to really try to reach out to these people and see what we can do to convince them to get vaccinated. It will protect them, it will help the community. So we're trying to work with people to get through what their vaccine hesitancy might be. So I think, like I said, it's interesting how quickly the paradigm has shifted from begging for vaccine to begging to get vaccinated. But HHS is really focused on that through both the Metro North Collaborative and the local effort to do the outreach to those 75 plus.
If you think it's been a tough slog for you through the pandemic, you're probably right. But spare a thought for the many mothers out there who have added tutor and truant officer and mask mandator and who knows how many other titles to their bulging job descriptions. As Mother's Day 2021 arrives, we wanted to hear from local moms who've weathered the storms about their hopes for their holiday and beyond.
Mother's Day is around the corner. Since the beginning of the pandemic, mothers have faced challenges like never before. ACMi spoke to several local moms about this unprecedented time. About 69% of mothers experienced health issues due to stress from the pandemic, according to a Kaiser Family Foundation survey. According to new U.S. Census Bureau data, around 10 million mothers who have school-age children weren't working in January, which is a higher number than the previous year. Some mothers have had to quit their jobs to take care of their children who couldn't be in school. Others worked in service areas that were impacted by COVID-19.
Yeah, it's very hard because kids are completely staying in the home and we have a hard time. And I quit the job just because of that. It's hard to maintain them at home, right?
I unfortunately didn't get the option to work from home, so I didn't have the same struggle as a lot of other parents. Our struggle was mostly trying to keep our kids occupied and entertained in a small 2-bedroom apartment. And we're so used to just being out and going places and doing things at, even just going to the mall to get out of the house, that was our biggest struggle, was not having those places to go to get out of our house.
2 of my sisters are still in school, and so she's had to kind of help them with their remote learning. Plus, she works at a gym, so there's been a lot of, there's been a downturn in business for pretty much all in-person facilities, and she has to do a lot of additional cleaning and work, and there's just a lot of regulations.
According to the National Retail Federation, Americans will less likely celebrate Mother's Day compared to the previous year, but they will spend more for the gift. ACMi also asked these mothers what their plans are for Mother's Day and what they need most this year.
We're going to have sort of like a Mother's Day breakfast with her and my grandmother, and my sisters and I all pitched in together to get her a gift card for a massage because she's been really wanting one recently.
Actually, she's just a big card person, so I sent her a really cute card that you open it and it pops up, and it has a mama dog and then a bunch of little puppies, and it's really adorable.
We're gonna go get ice cream with our cousins and our grandparents and just be outside together. That's our plan.
It's nothing to keep my kids happy, and if they make happy, that's easy enough. As your mom, what we can expect more than that?
I'll get some flowers. I'm going to make cake.
One local owner is making special preparations for Mother's Day.
Right, it's Mother's Day week, and part of our procedure each year, although not last year, but in years past, we would have Mother's Day week. We'd give out flowers and candy and do a Mother's Day lesson where the students get to participate with their moms, break boards. They get a pink belt, which is pretty cool. And it's a lot of fun. It's just a great way to bring the energy of our community together. It's wonderful. If it weren't for the moms, where would we be? And we love having family members come and participate in this program to help improve themselves and the children. Folks that want to come down and participate or watch, there's a raffle going on as well. So the attending moms have a chance to get a day spa gift certificate. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Many moms have gone through the tremendous difficulties during the pandemic. The thing that they might need most could be love from their family and a chance to relax. For ACMi News, I'm In-young Kim.
Thanks, In-young. The Arlington High School Drama Guild has put together a virtual musical.
Amour, the musical. In post-war Paris, an unassuming clerk who secretly pines for his unhappily married neighbor inexplicably develops the ability to walk through walls.
Sounds interesting, doesn't it? AHS students and ACMi collaborated extensively to produce a unique version of the musical. And the cast and crew recently got together in the AHS courtyard to watch the result on the big screen.
The Gilbert and Sullivan Club is doing our final performance of the year. It's Amour, a Broadway musical by Michel Legrand.
The play is basically about this guy, Du Soleil. He's kind of a normal guy, has a normal job, normal life, and he gets this incredible ability to walk through walls. So that's my character. Throughout the show, I go from this kind of normal guy to someone who has this extraordinary ability, and he coins the name Passepartout, and he kind of becomes this hero for a bunch of the poor people in France.
I played Isabelle, who's she is a young woman who's in a not so good relationship with her husband, not really standing up for herself, but then kind of like opening up and taking charge of her own story. Definitely a different process, but I really liked the music. I thought it was really beautiful, a lot of the songs. And it was just fun to like experiment with video recording and how can we almost exploit that to our advantage rather than it being something that would inhibit us from doing a normal show.
Barry Singer, our accompanist, laid down the backing tracks. Mara Walker, the music teacher at the high school, taught the music to students over Zoom. John DiTomaso, the electronic music teacher, technical music teacher, then edited all of those sound recordings into one, so it sounded like everyone was in the same room singing. And then students video recorded themselves singing along to those tracks. And then a team of editors led by Kevin Wetmore edited all of those videos together to create the film. It's a little weird because the students' work was finished a couple of weeks ago and they haven't been together at all. So now that we can gather in a socially distanced way and school is open, we are going to have one final rehearsal where the cast will come together for the first time and they will watch the final product, which they've actually not yet seen.
We are watching the show for the first time as a cast right here in the courtyard, which is going to be really exciting because we've all really only seen our individual pieces that we've put into this project, our own videos, but now we're watching it for the first time with everything put together. So it's definitely a really exciting thing and kind of simulates that first show feeling that you normally get when it's in person. And hopefully we can replicate that excitement and that feeling of performing.
One of the exciting things is the Arlington Education Foundation and the Inclusion and Diversity Grant has given us money to allow the show to become more accessible, and there will be closed captions for the viewing over this weekend. So it's accessible because I know people in France and Italy and England and Arlington have already bought tickets. But so that's accessible in that way because it's online, but we can make it even more accessible to more people by adding in the closed captions. You can buy the tickets through the Facebook page, the Arlington High School Performing Arts Facebook page. It's on the high school Facebook page. You can buy them through a website called On the Stage. You can watch it on demand from Friday at 7:30 until Sunday at midnight.
As always, there is a lot going on at Arlington High School. Let's turn it back over to Studio B for this week's Ponderscope.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. First in the news this week, the Spring Musical is this weekend. The AHS Drama Guild is proud to present Amour, a fantastical story of romance, defying odds, and helping others. The show is available on demand starting today, Friday, May 7th, until Sunday, May 9th. Tickets are $10 for individuals and $25 for households. To grab your tickets and learn more about the show, visit the link attached in the description. As majority of students phase back into fully in-person learning, it's also important to be aware of some anomalies in our normal schedule. On Thursday, May 13th, classes will be remote for all grades not taking the MCAS infrastructure trial. On May 18th and 19th, ELA MCAS will also lead to remote instruction. To stay updated on the complete array of schedule changes between now and the end of the school year, make sure to visit the Q4 week-to-week bell schedule, also attached in the description. This is a reminder to check your emails for upcoming AHS Community Service opportunities. The Spring Community Service newsletter details community service offerings ranging from cleanups to food pantries to volunteering with local youth. Seniors must have 40 hours completed by Friday, May 21st in order to graduate. To log any remaining hours, make sure to visit X2Vol and notify your supervisor to sign off on your hours. For seniors only. The class council is happy to announce that we will be having a senior prom this year. On Friday, May 28th on the AHS turf, join fellow seniors for the Senior Prom Masquerade. The event will be split into 2 shifts of 150 people, one from 5 to 7 p.m. and the other from 8 to 10 p.m. Due to COVID restrictions, non-AHS seniors are not permitted to attend the event. Tickets for the event are only $10 and rapidly disappearing. To reserve your spot at one of the 2 events, visit the Eventbrite invitation linked in the description. And with prom, also signals that the end is near for us AHS seniors. And I'm sad to say that this will also be my last Ponderscope. I've loved reporting on our stories. I'd like to thank everyone at ACMi, from the fellow members of the Ponderscope team to my supervisor, Kevin Wetmore, to providing the guidance and support that I've needed to gather stories and report them out to all of you week after week. I hope that these updates have been helpful to all of you, and I can't wait to see how the Ponderscope grows for years to come. And now, for the final time, that's all for this week's edition of the Ponderscope. From my home to yours, I'm Sam Derringer.
Well, that was a good newscast, and Isabel, congratulations on finishing your last day of classes at Boston College.
Thanks, Aneem, for remembering. I've had some great teachers at school, but I've also had some great teachers here. I have to thank you for that.
Oh, well, glad to hear that. I guess I'm actually doing my job correctly then.
Aneem, it's been a dream.
Oh, I see what you did there. It is always a pleasure to have you here and dedicating a certain amount of your busy full-time student schedule to help us deliver news content and inform the Arlington public.
Well,
Thank you,
I love
Isabel.
being here with you, Arlington.
Glad to hear it, and that will do it for this week's newscast. Thanks to everyone who tuned in, and for the cast and crew for ACMi News, I'm Aneem Osmani.
And I'm Isabel Litterst. We'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.